Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to another edition of This Is Recorded podcast. Thank you for listening. We here with a recorded family member, man. This dude is a great dude that supports my journey, supports the dream. So I had to return the favor, man. Please introduce yourself again. Give them the socials because you know that's all people care about. We don't have names anymore, so give them your socials and then give them your name because your name doesn't matter anymore.
Well, I mean, my social art is my name, so you can find me everywhere at Alton Chislom, on TikTok, on Instagram. Yeah, uh, happy to be here again, man. This is dope. This is what our third episode.
Yeah, man, we getting it in. We getting it in, man. The creatives that keep trying, they keep trying.
Yeah.
But man, give me I usually do two good and one great because I like this positivity, but it get hard
Okay.
for people. So I'll just do tell me one good thing about your week since we recording on Saturday, and then one great thing about your week.
Oh gosh, this is a good question. So, man, what's good this week? Today is I shot some content with a friend. I've been like trying to get back on like recording video content and sketches, and we shot a video. It probably took like 2 hours to shoot the whole thing, and we're just editing that down. So that was a lot. That was good. It was productive.
And tell me one great thing about your week.
So I went to the Brooklyn Comedy Club, which is like walking distance from my apartment, and just had a really dope experience there, and just networking with the comedians. And so that's why I'm here. Just networking with people, connecting, and having to go with a good show. Having a homie come through from undergrad, and we just like kicked the whole day. So that was fun.
And man, that's what's so amazing, and that's why I had to get you back on because you did something that a lot of people are afraid to do. You went out there
Yeah,
and you moved from California to New York City
I
to
did.
follow your dreams, man. And everybody on the previous podcast, you could learn about Alton's brain and how smart he is and how he's able to do these things. This dude is like a mini calculator. He's the smartphone before the smartphone, man. Like, I've known him for a long time, but with that, he didn't lose his humor. So he moved to New York for his dream, man. So tell the people like what was the thought process and when did you get the balls up and the guts up to just say, fuck it, I'm gonna move to New York.
Man. And the motivation came from just having a lot of time to myself, man. I spent like I'd say about maybe 30 days, just no drinking, nothing, just chilling at the house, just diving within myself. And I started to think like all the business stuff I've been doing, I've been integrating comedy, like every single last one of it. And like I would get business partners here and there, but I would also lose business because people would think I'm not serious because I joke around a lot. And I'm like, yo, man, what if I just flipped it? Like, what if I just focus on the comedy first and then get into the business later? Because I already know how to run a business. I can start a business and make money doing that. Let me figure out this comedy thing. And then I had like in the back of my head, the first time I tried stand up, I was 18 and I bombed. And I was like, yo, that was a traumatizing experience. So this time around, I was like, yo, man, I'm about to do this again, but this time I'll be more prepared. So I went to take a class and I took a class and I was like, okay, cool, man. I'm so glad I took this class because he wasn't coaching us on our material. He was coaching on everything else, like how to move the mic, like how to read the crowd, how to get the crowd on your side, like how to get a laugh when you first get on stage, like all these things that like have nothing to do with your material. So the material is still all me, it's all us, but I know how to move the mic. I know how to talk to the crowd. I know how to like talk to the host. I know how to where to position the mic. I know how to where to stand at on stage, how to slow down, like all the rhythm. And all I did was take that and apply it to myself. And so I'm naturally a funny person, but now I have structure, and so that was dope. And so now I'm loving it because I know how to set up a punchline, set up a joke that I didn't know before. Like everybody thinks, okay, you're funny, you go on stage and you're gonna be funny, but nah,
Bro,
you could be the funniest person in the world. You go on stage with no understanding of what you're doing up there, like you are gonna bomb. Like it doesn't matter how funny you are because you have to be funny to complete strangers, and their brains are already built to laugh at things a certain way. And if you don't have that structure, it's just not gonna work.
bro, and that's what it is like, cause that's what we come from. Like, man, back
Yeah,
in Lancaster, all we used to do was roast each other. Like, cause I mean,
all day.
it's Lancaster. It's not much to do. It's pretty boring, unless you got some good people around you. And that's the thing about Lancaster is, man, with Chris and Pooh and your brother,
Yeah,
everybody, man, Nico, everybody. Even if somebody had a dumb joke, it's fucking hilarious because it's like
yeah,
that's the stupidest shit I've ever heard, but it was really, really funny in this moment.
yeah,
Or when the dudes that can't roast like that get one off, it's the
yeah,
most funny shit in the world, bro. Like
yeah, man.
I love like people just being themselves because even if they can't dance, I love when people that can't dance go out there and dance because it's like it shows you that they don't give a fuck. They having a good
Yeah,
time. It's like, dog, this dude does not dance, but he's out there, or this dude is not that funny, but he got one off. So it's like,
yeah,
and that's what we did, man. Oh, we had legendary roast battles. I remember one time me and you was roasted outside the college, man.
yeah,
And we were just going at it, and it was just hilarious. But we wasn't
yeah.
all sensitive, like and
Oh
like
yeah,
gonna
definitely
like
not.
want to fight or whatever. Because if you get sensitive, we're going harder at you.
Yes,
That's what
yeah,
like people don't know. Like, boy, if I see I'm getting to you, it's over for you. Like,
yeah,
there's no return. But what you said is so true because if all of us was to go to a comedy club and we would have a Lancaster night, it would be hard as fuck to get a random crowd to like just laugh at us. So you
yeah,
taking that step and taking that courage, them balls is like, bro. So you get up there, have a mic right here, and then you take this mic like, hey, so yeah, like fucking girls, man, they're crazy, right? They're so crazy, they should be in a loony house, and they're like looking at you like.
like you're crazy, dog. What are you doing?
And then like it gets uncomfortable. Like I like Andrew Schultz, man. He's hilarious. And he was saying like he bombed so fucking bad one time that he was in like a restaurant and he could hear the shrimp sizzling because nobody was laughing, bro. He's like, bro, and then comedy is such an amazing thing to me because it's like that shit humbles you forever because they
Bro,
all continue to bomb. They don't stop
oh,
bombing. They
oh
just know
no,
how to keep the balls going. Talk about just keeping that courage because you say you were 18 when
yeah.
you was like, fuck that. And then now you back at it. So talk about that feeling of bombing, but also the feeling of like, fuck it, I'm gonna keep trying.
Man, so that first feeling of bombing, like if you're not expecting to bomb, like that's one of the things that they teach you in the class. Like you're going to bomb, it's going to happen, and it's going to happen a lot. So you just got to get used to it. And so, but when I was 18, I didn't know that. So I'm thinking I'm funny because I was, but I'm not stand up comedy funny. So
Right.
I get up there and I got 2 minutes, and it is just crickets the entire time. Not a single laugh. Like I'm up there like traumatized. So when I get off the mic, I'm like, yo, I'm never doing this ever again. Like, cause it was just like not a single person laughed, and I think this material was hilarious. Nope.
Bro,
And then
that's crazy, man.
yeah, and then now it's like I'm mentally prepared for that. Like you're going to bomb. Like I've done open mics, and open mics are the best place to get that feeling out because it's mostly comedians, and they're not gonna laugh. So if they do laugh, that means it's fucking hilarious because the comedian usually does not laugh at your jokes. They might laugh in their head, or they might chuckle a little bit, but they don't laugh. So if they laugh, they're like, "Oh, that's funny." That's how you know to write that one down. Like that one worked, and so
Yeah.
that's how you gauge it. Because if you go in front of a regular crowd and you haven't prepared your material yet, like that's what's gonna hurt because you're gonna think a punchline is funny, but you haven't tested it in front of other people. So a lot of people they look at these comedy specials and think, "Oh, this is a one-time thing." Nah, they've been working on that for years.
They
Like
do it. They do. I think most comedians work their material the hour for a year. They
yeah, at
work that
least
whole thing for a year. They take some stuff out, they add some stuff.
asked.
They might get help, because some
Oh
comedians
yeah,
have, like Kevin Hart and stuff, openly talks about having people on his team
you
that
need
help
them.
him. So he's like, man, and then, that's the thing about this comedy thing, man. That's it's like a beautiful journey. And then, like, it's also the gift and the curse because most comedians are deeply depressed, but they find
Yeah,
a way to I think put
yeah,
good in the world by making other people laugh, even though they feel like shit inside. They just
yeah,
kind of like, hey, fuck it. But it's just something that commendable for you, man, to really follow
yeah,
your dreams, man. Like, because I think about life and like a job is a job, money is money. You need that, whatever, whatever. We understand that. But we don't know when our last day on this earth is, man. So
we
it's like
don't, man.
whatever you want, man, you gotta go for it. You really gotta follow your dreams. Like talk about what that means to you to just like, I want to do whatever the fuck I want to do, no matter what it is. Like, what gives you the drive to just do it? Like, just
And
try
I
it.
mean, just the older I get, the more the less I give a fuck, right? Like
Old
when I
people
was,
say whatever they want.
they say what they want. They lived a great life. It's like, yo, I'm gonna die at some point, and you start to get that understanding, and like, I know I can always find a job. I can always find a job. Like a job is always gonna be there. You living your dream is not. You're gonna get older. You're gonna be less marketable. Like there's all these things that are gonna change that you're not gonna be able to do. Don't get me wrong, like you could, there's always an anomaly. Like there's actors that didn't make it till they're 50 or 60 years old, right? They bust their ass, they finally hit. You know, those things happen, but those are anomalies. So I do it while you're young. Always chase your dream. Like even if you have a regular job, there's 24 hours in a day. Find an hour a day to dedicate to your craft. And that's basically what, I was doing. I was taking an hour out of my day to just like write jokes and then to test jokes. And the best way to test a joke is to do it on a friend without letting them know that you're testing a joke on them. You just shooting a line and they're like, oh, they laughed at that? Cool. They didn't? Okay, that's not funny. And then you go in there, you work it out. And
Yeah.
so it's like it's when you touched on like the depression thing, it's like that hit home. Like most people who are funny are depressed or they're using that as a defense mechanism because they're depressed. And it's true for me too. Like I've been depressed. I've never had anxiety. I have anxiety now, but depression is something I beat before. So I mean, I'm gonna beat it again, but like that's where that funny comes from. It's like you're laughing at your own pain to make it, productive and to get through it.
Yeah. And that's what, man, like, boy, it's so annoying now because it seems like avocado toast or like
Yeah,
brunch or something, the word depression, the word mental health,
yeah,
but it's such a real thing and it's such a thing that we're grasping now. It's like nauseating to some people, but it's the realest shit in the world. It really is a thing, especially in the black community. And then for everybody in life, you don't know what you got through until you get through it, how bad shit was. And like for
yeah,
depression, like you could be like mentally out of it. And then when you come out of it, you like, damn, bro, like that was a badass time that I really
yeah,
tried to like
yeah,
joke it off or laugh it off or just drink it off or smoke it off, do whatever. But
yeah,
like it's a really rough time. But for people, man, I think the knowledge in self is like really a thing I've been reiterating for a lot of people is finding out what's wrong with you, what makes you go, what makes you not go. And what you have to do is like elevate the stuff that makes you go and try to get rid of the shit that doesn't make you go. And the number one thing that really doesn't make us go, this social media and this phone shit, boy, I'm telling you, like it's
yeah,
so addictive. I think it's worse than crack at this point. I really feel like the social media shit is worse than because even if you, oh, I'm not gonna look at certain things, I'm not gonna do this, I'm not gonna do, you're still gonna come back to social media, and social media is always gonna feed you negativity because if I do a post like, hey, I'm with my friend Alton, he's doing comedy and everything, and follow us and check us out. But I'm like, no, I'm with my friend Alton. He shot at these people and did this and did that. It's like,
yeah,
oh man, let's click on this story. So it just
yeah,
feeds you negativity. So it's like a lot of people got to learn what's good for them and what's bad for them. And doing the
yeah.
work for it is not easy. It's not going to
It's
happen
not.
tomorrow. It's not going to happen next month. It's just a continuous battle. But as the years go by, the days and months, hopefully you get better with it. And you got to really seek it because it's so easy.
Yeah,
Even with the job thing, just I go to work, I get paid every 2 weeks. But stepping out and working hard for a couple months or a couple years and like creating a life for yourself is fucking hard. So nobody wants to
yeah,
do it. So
yeah,
it's just like, man, it's so commendable for somebody like you to really like it's such an easy concept, but it's so hard to really implement in your life. It's like, hey, just live your life and do what you want.
yeah.
People be like, what? Like that easy?
Man,
But
bro, it's crazy talking to certain people because they have like these preconceived notions and like I'm not a political person, so I don't really tie myself one way or the other. But a lot of it is from like the liberal side, and like I'm not bashing liberals,
yeah.
but what I'm saying is like people are like, oh, you have privilege, like you can just walk away from a job because you have money. I don't know damn money. Like, what are you talking about? Like, everything I have, I work for. I work to get a college education. I'm half a quarter million dollars in debt from school
Yeah.
to get this education. Right? This
Yeah.
isn't like a hand me down. The reason why, and I have to pay those loans back. But the reason why I walk and quit because I don't want to do this. If
Right.
you keep forcing yourself to do something because I can't do this, I need this money to pay this, and you walked away because you can do it, I'm like, oh, I'll be homeless. Like I'm not gonna be homeless for very long. I'm not gonna stay in a situation I don't belong in. Like that doesn't make sense. And I've always been that way. I've
Yeah.
walked away from 6-figure jobs because I'm like, I don't need this. Like I don't need you. I don't need your attitude. I don't need any of this. I'm gone, and I'll go make some money on my own. Because if you have that drive, everybody has a skill set. I try to tell that all the time. People are like, oh, I don't, but you have this, you have that. I'm like, you have a skill set. What do you do? Okay, this is what you do. All right, got it. This is how we can use that to make money. And they're like, oh shit, I didn't even think about that. And I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
because your mind is so boxed in. Instead of you thinking I can do this, you're thinking I need this a job to do this. Like when people like this pandemic, I'm so happy it happened. Not for the people that lost their lives, but I'm so happy for all the black entrepreneurs it created. Like I'm seeing so many young black entrepreneurs that went from I need to go make $20 an hour to I need to sell this book for $25. If I sell 10 books a day at $25, that's $250. They
Man.
started looking at the way I've been looking at this shit for years, and I'm like, and this man's 19 years old. I'm like, salute, 19-year-old making 6 figures selling his own book.
Yeah.
And I'm like, thank you. Like I've been preaching this for years, but it took the pandemic for people to get that.
It
And
had to sit with yourself. The pandemic
yeah,
forced
exactly.
everybody
People just
to
sit with
sit with
yourself.
themselves. And I feel like for me and for like the way I'm explaining like the pandemic is like 2020, it was like depression and it was hard and everybody was fucked up and seeing bad stuff all the time. So it was just really, really dark. 2021 was still dark, but it's like, hey, I've been in a real dark place. I can't really go back there. That shit was
Yeah,
like gross. I can't allow my mind to go back there. And from now, I think in 2022, with knowing how ugly shit is and it's not changing no time fast, I think everybody in 2022 and beyond is putting in those like ideas and those things that they really want to do and get them off because since 2020 you realizing like, hey bro, tomorrow's not promised, everything
it's
is
not.
fucked up out there, let me just live my life. And then I think a lot of people are starting to live their life. And even, a lot of people like, oh, you just got money, so now nobody wants to work and nobody do this. No, I think everybody's kind of fed up. I think a lot of
Yeah,
people got money from about PPP loans or from stimulus checks, but they took that money and did something smart with it, or they chose themselves. My uncle died, my this died, my that. Fuck this job. You ain't talking to me no kind of way. You're not doing this. I'm not coming in
yeah,
here. Fuck that. I'm gonna figure it out. And that's the beauty of the pandemic. It's sad with the lives lost, but it's inspiring with the motivation because you've been through so much dark shit and we still going through dark shit. So it's like, let me choose me because tomorrow's not promised. So the
yeah.
pandemic is the gift and the curse, man. And it's really
It
looking
is.
more of the gift. If you have a positive outlook, it's looking more of the gift. But if you think negative all the time, it's just
Yeah,
everything's so bad. That's it.
yeah.
That's it, man.
And I lost more than most people can imagine over through this pandemic. 2020 sucked. 2021 was worse. So I'm like, yo, man, this is wild. Like I lost my business. I lost my backup business. I
Yeah.
lost family members to COVID. I lost friends to COVID. I lost friends to like people like these. I'm talking about deaths. Like I
Yeah.
lost one of my basically when a girl looked up to me as like she was my little sister. Basically lost her, and like it didn't go out on the best terms, and like lost my best friend. Like it's
Yeah.
just crazy, man. It's like
Yeah, and that's what
all the loss and grieving from these last 2 years has been nuts.
in it, but it showed us that life don't give a fuck about none of that what we talking about. So
At
it's
all.
like you have one or two choices. You're gonna stay depressed, you're gonna stay fucked up, you're gonna feel suicidal, you're gonna feel all this shit, or you're gonna move forward and try to make the best of your days. And I hope that anybody listening, you grieve, you feel what you feel, because feeling your emotions is important, but you work at it and you figure out how can I get better? Because it can get better.
Yeah.
I feel sorry for the
Oh,
people
well.
that stopped or gave up on themselves or got to that dark place where they ended their lives for themselves, because you never know. You never. So with all of us, we don't never know if we ever gonna be like successful or not if we end it
Yeah.
today. But if we
Yeah.
got like look, if you look at yourself 5 years from now, you can see the growth. For most people, you see
Yeah.
some kind of growth in yourself. If you look 10 years, you really should see some growth in yourself. So it's just so important, man, to just figure out you. Knowledge of self is the most important thing you could do. You should unlearn everything you used to think and used to know and start with a new slate and create the person that you really want to be. You really should do that. It's important.
Yeah. And I was down bad. Like 2020, I was suicidal. People didn't even know. You just hearing about this.
Yeah.
Like my mental health was like it's just to me basically, and like maybe a couple people, and got came out of that, and then 2021 went right back into that a similar dark space. I wasn't suicidal, but just I was beating myself up because like I was like I'm a failure. Like I'm doing this wrong, doing this wrong. Everything was wrong. Was just happening to me. And then I started getting like I started posting my stuff like what I was going through, and I saw it was like inspiring people. People were going through similar things. I eventually like deleted it off of social media, but I started to see that, and also started to get like DMs from people that I hadn't talked to in years, and they've been following my journey. Like, yo, dude, like I look up to you. Like you inspire me. Like I show my stuff to my kids. And I'm just sitting there like taken back, like, damn, people really look up to me like this because I never hear it, you don't see it. And so that made me realize like, yo, I gotta get my shit together. I gotta get I didn't realize that I meant this much to so many people. And so now I'm like, oh man, I'm not it's not just for me.
And
Like I'm not
that's it, man. Like that's the crazy thing about suicide, man. And this is we're getting deep on this one, man. But that's the crazy thing about it is that like you get to a point where you feel like life would be better if I wasn't here for a lot of people. And I don't care about myself. But the crazy thing about life and how hard it is, and that's why you got to become your own best friend and perform like put a good relationship with yourself in your head, is because it's people that are really looking up to you, but they never say nothing. You're
yeah,
inspiring them and they never say. It might be a neighbor. Like, hey, this guy wakes up. I notice he goes to the gym. He does his clothes. He does this. And he just always tells me, how you doing, Miss Franklin? Or something like that every day. And it just makes me feel fucking good. So if
yeah,
this guy ended himself and all I see is negativity when I step out that door and I don't see Alton no more, it makes me think, damn, fuck this world too. So it's like
yeah,
all of us have, we don't know who we inspiring, but you have to inspire yourself more importantly, because it's like just like how you have a story on Instagram or you have views, you see people looking at your shit all the time, but they won't say nothing. And then you meet them in person, like, damn man, how's your journey? How's comedy? How's this? Why the fuck you don't say nothing? What I need this. I need analytics in order to do well. I need you to
yeah,
engage. I need that inspiration that I'm doing a good job. I need all this shit, but
yeah,
nobody says nothing. So that's what I tell people, man. When you're in that dark place, number one, never feel too little or too big to reach out for help, because all of us is going through some shit. All of
yeah,
us are mentally beating ourselves up. Never get to that point. Like for me,
yeah,
2020 hit me like I've always like, damn, I want to try therapy because I've always been in my head and I've always been like, damn, like I don't know if I'm doing this great. Money gets in your head, all this stuff. So it's like 2020, my wife got in a car accident and I was on the phone and that shit fucked me up like real bad.
yeah,
And she was like, the seatbelt is stuck. I can't really get it. And I'm like, yo, what the fuck? And I could just hear all of this. So that is what pushed me to therapy. I said, bro, that was traumatic as fuck. And I have a lot of other shit. So I was like, let me go to it, man. And then even for mental health, man, like for friends and stuff like that, I can be super high and I could be super low. And then it's like even my mentor, man, Mr. Richard, good brother, he asked me, he said, Reggie, do you think you bipolar? And I was like, whoa. Cause I was like, you know what? I don't know. I was like, I don't think so. But then I started
I
looking
think
up
so.
different things. And I was like, I can be really high and then I could go really low. But the thing is, what me and my wife talk about too is that with clinical stuff, sometimes you can diagnose yourself or they'll easily just give you some medicine or something. So it's important that knowledge yourself to really know yourself and know your highs and know your lows and figure it out. But when it gets real, real dark, and I don't feel like that dark, but when it gets real, real dark and you can't stand it no more, you have to reach out for help. And if it continues for me, I will have no problem going to like, hey, I need some help. I need to figure this
Mm,
out. But it's just like, damn, like even a guy at work, he asked me, he's like, damn, man, he's like, do you think so? And I was like, I don't think so. But it's like, if the shit continues, then it's like, bro, you're going to have to go because it just was scary because that definition of really high and reaching euphoria and then feeling really low, that shit is
mm,
real in my life. So I was like, whoa, but I'm not
mm.
ashamed of that, and I'm not
It
ashamed to
shouldn't be.
just fucking like, hey man, if I need some help, I'll go get some help. But what helps me is what I know is this podcast, man, and just
Mm,
really helping others and really going towards my dreams. So I mean, because if you have a car and it needs work, if it needs a battery,
mm.
it needs an alternator, it needs these things, you have to put the work in. So if
Yeah,
I just sit here, I just put out podcast episodes and don't do nothing else, don't work on making it better, nothing, it's not gonna go nowhere. So I
yeah,
gotta put in the work, man. So for those
yeah,
people out there struggling, anybody listening, don't ever be ashamed to reach out for help. But also for yourself before anybody else tells you, find out
yeah,
what makes you high, what makes you low, and just figure it out. We here for it.
yeah,
This is recorded, man.
yeah, for sure, man. Like it's a real thing. Like you have to know who you are and you have to know when you need help. And like I like both times like I went through like my mental breakdowns and depression. Like the first time, I like there's always a catalyst. And the catalyst is always someone close to me betraying me. And that is like that is like the thing that just like just immediately shut down my world. And the first time if that shit happened to me, it was my mom. So you can imagine like how much of that shit just wrecked me. I'm like, yo, this is wild. So went through that, took 13 months of therapy for that one. And then this time around, it was a couple of my friends that I thought were like this. And that shit just like, yo, it just split my mind in half. And I'm like, yo, I can't process anything right now. And I'm still coming out of that one. I'm what 7 months through. I'm almost out. Like I'm like 95% of the way back. But like you just never know how it's going to react, man. And I was not too big to ask for help this time. Like the first time, I was like trying to keep it to myself, but the second time around, I knew better. But also be careful with that because everybody's not built to handle your emotions.
No.
And I almost lost some friends because I had expectations of them to be able to handle my emotions the way I handle their emotions when they were going through their shit. But
Yep.
that's not the case. Everybody's not me. So
Yep.
everybody isn't like I feel like we're similar. We're empaths. We feel other people's feelings, and I could tell like even when you're talking about it, I could tell you're getting emotional. I can feel it,
Yeah.
and I had people trying to give me stupid ass fucking advice, and I'm like, yo, dude, shut up. Like I love you to death, but this is not what you think it is. Like trust me. And then now that I'm able to completely explain exactly what happened, exactly what went through, it's like, oh shit, damn, my bad, dog. I thought it was this. And like I don't blame you. Like at first I was like getting ready to cut you out of my life because I'm emotional. Like I can't fucking control this shit. But then I just thought about it later, like, oh, they're not built for this. So you don't vent to everybody. You
No.
find one person or two people that you can vent to just enough and you can slowly add more. And then like, okay, this person can handle it. Now you know. And now I have two people that I know that can handle my full range, like, which is almost impossible. But I got two people in my life that can. Those are the two people I come to if I'm not talking to my therapist.
And man, one thing that I did do going into the new year and I want to do more of is reading books because reading books
Oh yeah,
they
man.
help you.
So many books back there. Yeah.
And then even for my stepdad, well, my father-in-law, man, Mr. Stark, man, check his podcast out. He told me, he always reiterates, he said to all black people, for black people, they hide the knowledge in the books because they feel like we're not gonna read. It's so
Yeah.
great things. And if you think of the great thinkers as some of the great people, even down to the Nipsey Hustles, where you think like only
Yeah.
nerds do that, even down to Nipsey Hussle, he reads a lot and he reads,
Yeah.
he gets it's so much information in these books. One of the greatest books that was so cliche that I felt like I really needed to read it in my life, and I just finished it. I finished it on the last day of 2021. There's the autobiography of Malcolm X, man. And one of the greatest things, one of the things I took away from it is that your family is important, the ones that care for you and they love you. Because in the book, it was sad. He realized that he never really bought anything for his kids. Towards the end
Yeah.
of his life, he said, damn, like somebody like the person, Alex Haley, that wrote the book, or he bought it himself, gave him some toys for his daughters. And he said, damn, like I never bought nothing from him. It was always a mother. And he said, I never really spent that much time with my wife. He said, in his last couple of days, he realized, like, I'll never leave without you no more. Also, what he realized is that he put so much honor and faith in man, meaning like in Elijah Muhammad and stuff like that. And he felt betrayed at the end when he literally he said, I will take the electric chair for him, and that's what you're saying for your friends. It's like
Yeah.
everybody's not going to understand the journey. So you can't put them on this pedestal. And when they let you down, even down to parents will let you down. Your kids will let
Yeah.
you down, your brother, and definitely in a relationship. Come on now. Y'all are kind of
Yeah.
together, and then you're not. So for people gotta understand, if you have one is great. If you have two is great. But if you have one person you could confide in and believe in, man, it's an amazing thing. And do not take these people for granted because they're very few and far in between. Literally, if you have
Uh,
one, the shit is amazing, man.
yeah.
It really is, man. But we got dark, man. We got to lighten
We
it up.
did.
We got to
We
lighten
got
it up.
dark. Yeah, we
Good
gotta
dark.
bring the energy back up. Yeah.
Dark times edition quarter podcast. All right, let's go into some happy stuff. So let's go
Yeah.
into the pros and cons of New York City, the greatest city in the world. Beautiful place. I'm Brooklyn born. Shout out to Brownsville, Harlem, Bronx. Feel me, figure me. Yeah. Just the pros and cons of New York.
Man, so far the pros, man, are just being able to walk everywhere, man. Like I always needed a car in LA or outskirts of LA, and like I just walk to the subway station, food. Just in my little neighborhood, I would find like 100 different restaurants, right? So I'm loving that, like the convenience. I'm loving the drive here. Like everybody here is working on something else. Like nobody here is just like, oh, this is my job. This is what I do. It's like, well, this is my job. These are my two other jobs, like my hustles.
Yeah.
Like, and this is how I'm making my money, to try to get by and try to get out of here. And so I just respect that, you know. And
Yeah.
I'd say the cons, it ain't as clean as Newport Beach, man.
No, New York
it's
is wild. And the trash on the
uh,
street in the
man,
city and the rats
it's
and it's
yeah,
wild.
man. The rats be in the subway. They don't even move. They don't even run. It's like you in my spot. So it's been wild out here, man. And it's the cold. I'm never gonna get used to the cold. Right. I'm from Southern California. Lived the last 15 years in the Irvine, Newport Beach area where it's like 70, probably 70 degrees right now. So for it to be 15 outside is just not, not what I'm used to.
Yeah.
But I did get a stylist, and she hooked me up with with a whole new wardrobe. So my
Yeah.
New York wardrobe is nice.
Man, you got to get the Tims, and like I want to throw all the fucking shade and shit on like Timberland needs to get black designers in there, because if you look at their ads, they're terrible. Like it's like you can tell like there's not a black person running these ads and showing these boots. Like you could just tell like the pictures and the way they show it, it's like, dog, read the room. Most of the people that wear Timberlands are black people in the hoods. Like, why are
Yeah.
y'all showing me this boot in this clean background and like this and it's
Well,
like what?
they're doing that because they already know black people gonna buy it. They're not marketing to you.
Nah, they don't care. They don't. But it's just like I just really looked and I was like, dog, you could just tell it ain't no real black person in this room. This kind of like when Kendall Jenner was gonna heal racial tension with a Pepsi. It's like, hey, what the heck? Like, was it no black people in that room that was on that marketing team? Like, I don't know if this is a good one right here, man. But it's just a travesty to like see people do things that impact the culture, and it's just gross. That's why so many people need to really work on what they doing. And man, the problems you see in whatever fields, you got to create the change and you got to do it, because these corporations don't give a shit. They're just like going at it and going out there and like, hey, y'all gonna pay for it anyway. So I don't really give a fuck how y'all feel about this marketing.
Yeah. It's like I forgot who said it, but they're like you don't see ads for Lamborghini on Facebook because people are buying Lamborghinis and on Facebook.
No, no,
So when you
they're not doing that. And then it's just different things that you see. They know, it's like knowing your demographic and stuff like that. And that's what's so important. Like even for comedy, for
oh
you,
yeah,
it's just like you got to know your crowd, know your demographic. And I think with comedy too is hard, because I think the best comics can do any crowd, but it's definitely for black comics. It's people that can do black crowds, or it's people that can do mixed crowds, or it's people that just only go towards a white audience. But for everybody in any field you doing,
yeah,
I feel like you got to find your core. Like you gotta find like who follows you, who fucks with you, and you don't have to care about the ego of like, oh, I only need to do black comedy clubs, or I
oh
only
yeah.
need to do this. Like, because I watched your video on YouTube, man. I'm gonna have to try to put the link in it, man. And it was good, man. It was a nice
Thank you.
crowd, and man, you did your thing. Cause that's the thing, man. Even with this podcast, and I think you just got to be honest with your friends and just stuff like that. It's like, dog, if it ain't good or it's not great, like I kind of need to tell you in a nice way. And
Yeah,
if you like me and you value my opinion, you would know I'm not trying to shit on you. I'm just trying to
yeah,
tell you the truth. Or, but this is what I tell people too, though. Maybe it's not for me. Maybe I'm not your demographic. So who
yeah,
gives a fuck what I feel? Unless I tell you something that you could implement, you really should not care as much if I'm not really your demographic. Because I
yeah,
tell people like, if they make music or something and I don't really like, it's like, yeah, I'm not, but I know I'm not your demographic.
yeah,
But for you, man, I think you can do a good job of like playing both crowds. But I think, man, for you to like take off in that rocket ship, you got to be able to do all crowds, because just the
yeah.
black comedy crowd or just the white, you got to do it all. But what do you think your crowd is going to be so far
Man,
coming up?
I think my crowd is gonna be like me. I think they're gonna be like a millennial. They're gonna not be too sensitive where like you can't go to a certain length, and they're not gonna be like, oh, you need to be like raunchy and talk about all this shit and use all kind of derogatory slang and shit. Like it's just gonna be that middle crowd that like loves the over the top humor, also loves cerebral humor. Like I drop things in my set that fits all the whole that space. People that are like me, it's like it wasn't over the top, but some of it was. And then it's like it was cerebral. Like you have to think like, oh damn, who's saying? Oh damn, Saddam Hussein. Like
Yeah,
oh
see, you brought them. You see, you walk the dog slowly, is what I
yeah,
noticed when I was
yeah.
watching. Because I definitely want to try stand up. It's on my bucket list, but I'm just like that bomb might kill me, you know. But
No,
it just is like I seen
yeah.
you brought
That's
them in, you
damn.
brought it
Yeah,
relatable, and you built it up. Once I had you, and once you smiled and you laughed, then I could say some wild shit. But if you come off straight up top, yeah, man, Hitler was my last girlfriend. People be like, "What the fuck? Like, why is he talking about Hitler?" And I don't even know for shit. Fuck him. It's like,
yeah,
but it seemed like the bad thing about comedians, as you get great at it, you could say, "Hey, how's your day going?" And somebody be like, "Oh, you're so funny," and that shit got to get exhausting too. Like, I think that's the
yeah,
beauty of comedy, is always challenge yourself, like bombing and stuff like that. Is that, they like to go into these nightclubs, mainly in New York, and try their material, and people didn't know they was coming. They just went out there and tried some shit, and it's not necessarily their crowd, and they might bomb.
yeah,
Kevin Hart might bomb, Dave Chappelle might bomb. These big people go out there and they try something out, man. And I think I commend you from watching that. It's 8 minutes. So if people, you got 8 minutes to go check it out, man.
yeah,
So it just was like I seen you slowly walk them before you start saying wow shit, because now comedy is either too PC or it's too over the top. There's no middle. And I think what I commend you on is finding that middle, man. So keep going.
yeah. Yeah, that's my thing is I want to stay right in there in the center because that's my natural personality. Like I'm not sensitive. I'm not super sensitive. I'm not like super aggressive. Like I'm right there in the middle. Like, and I enjoy all ranges of comedy. So I don't want to be like bottled in. Like, oh man, you got to be the black comedian, or you got to be the comedian that only does white crowds. Like I want to be able to everybody find something funny within my set, and that's what showed because even that crowd was you had older white people, young white people, older Latinos, young Latinos, older blacks, younger blacks, and it's like we all in this mixed crowd and everybody's laughing at different pieces. Like I had a dude come up to me afterwards, was like, yo man, like that piece about like, the shoe, like yeah, my mom stole the chocolate at me, bro. Like I remember that. That was dope.
Oh,
And it's
that
like
was the cutting the grass, the scissors is what it clicked in my head. It was like he got it. He got
yeah,
it. That shit is not easy, but it was like when you said that, it connected and then it built onto the shoe and the objects and the sound effects. And then the way you was
yeah,
holding my, you can tell too. I was like, I'm interested to talk to you because I was like, damn, you're doing really good, but it's good to know. And it's good for everybody. You practice and you put in the work, you
yeah,
paid for it. You did all kind of things to like, yo, if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it right. And that's what I'm embracing now in my life is the hard journeys. Like
oh yeah,
today I've been trying to figure out how to put a logo in my videos. And today I calmed my mind down and I fucking figured it out. And it was like, oh my God. I feel and then even with the podcast, it was like I took it away for a while, went through some shit in life, and then came back and made it better. And it's like, bro, it's showing, and I'm taking my time. Like this
yeah,
podcast is 2 to 3 weeks out from other ones, so I could take my time and really focus on it and make it the right way.
yeah,
So it's like the key to everybody is that you got to really work at it. Like,
yeah.
and people don't want to work at it is the thing,
They
man.
don't. They expect overnight success, and that's just not gonna happen. You really gotta just put in the work.
Yeah, yeah, you have to do that, man. But people don't want to put in the work. People just want to come out the gate like, yo, I dropped my new fucking single, man. Let's get it. No, man, you need to go to these fucking like little bar, any open mic. You need to go out there and do it. You need to find your demographic. I cannot preach this hard enough. Why the fuck do your 34-year-old you think as a rapper you're gonna reach these kids? No, find your demographic and build on that. Some of the greatest, like the rapper Tech Nine and the different comedians and stuff, they have a small community that gets them enough money for them to live the life that they really want to live. So for anybody, don't worry about the big numbers. If that's your goal, stay focused on your goal, but focus on, like they say, the first year of a business, you just making enough money to put back into the business. So it's
Yeah,
just like and then later on you grow. And then I seen a chart. It says like it stays like this. Really, you're not seeing no money. The chart, you're not seeing no money, and then you see all the effort. But then next year, and as you work, it starts to even out a little bit. And then after a while, the effort is not really there. Right now, Kevin Hart, hey, I'm coming to Brooklyn Comedy Club, 1 hour. Tickets go on sale, tickets sell out immediately. That's because he put in all them hard work hours and so
yeah,
much failure. And social media brings you to a point of like, we only see people highlight reels. We don't see the hard
mm,
shit, man.
you don't. And
Yeah.
people have no idea like all the struggles you go through, all the bombing you go through, like trying to write material and like, oh man, this shit ain't funny. Like tearing out the pages, throwing it, or going and working out jokes that you thought were hilarious.
And like,
And everybody, they were like, oh, man, that's kind of trash. Like I literally have like jokes that I've crossed out. Like, nope, that didn't work. That
yeah,
didn't work.
yeah, yeah. Man, for you, man, I definitely, man, when I do it, I'm gonna definitely reach out to you, man, and get some pointers. That's what I love about this podcast. I got so many people that do different things that I want to do. It makes it interesting. And what's different about my podcast, like, I want to interview people that help other people about life and on their journey. My
Right.
whole thing about this is recorded is creating a life that you want to live and helping you and showing you other people's stories on how they're coming up and how they came up in their struggles, because they don't really highlight that. They just talk about, the big things and the great things. So this is what I want to do, man. But definitely when I go and I'm gonna try to do it, I'm like, Alton, it either went good or it went bad, man.
It's the so the things that I've learned so far are one, you do need the structure, but you also too need to be yourself.
I've
Like
heard
you're
that a lot.
yeah, because you're gonna get. I got so focused on the structure, like the very very first time. I got so focused on the structure, and it just didn't go the way I wanted it to go. This time around, I was like, okay, the structure is built. I'm studying the structure. Like this is my transition. These are my punchlines. But everything else, I'm gonna just work with the crowd. There were pieces that were in that set that were improv because I could tell by the way the crowd was reacting that they weren't gonna laugh at the next punchline. So I changed it on the fly, just let myself come out. And then that's when people were like, oh man, that shit was funny. Like when I was like, oh, that was sus as fuck. Like nobody expected because I rarely cuss in any in life and in like on stage. So they
Yeah,
started dying laughing, like, yo, man, that was hilarious. But it just came to me in that moment because I knew the punchline that I had there wasn't gonna hit that crowd.
yeah. And I
So
think comedy is comparable to DJing. When you
oh yeah,
DJing, right?
yeah,
You kind of you don't know the crowd yet. So you like,
yeah,
I'm gonna start out with this song because this is like a safe one. And then I'll see if more people come to this song, and then I'll drop this song. They not feeling it. I'm gonna just switch out to another song because like
yeah,
that one wasn't going well. So I gotta switch
yeah,
out real quick. In a song that you think will fire off and be great will be ass. And then a song that you don't even like that was a fucking hit. On the you like, yo,
yeah.
so I think comedy and DJing is the same in that manner. Like you gotta just really gotta be a smart on the fly person.
Yeah, you got to be able to read the crowd. You got to read the audience. You got to know like, okay, this ain't working. I gotta, I gotta switch quick. I gotta find something they like. That's why it's always best to not be the first comedian that goes on stage. So
Ooh,
usually the host has to warm up the crowd, and you hope that the host does at least 5 minutes, so that you can kind of see how the crowd is reacting to the host. Because the host is usually a person who's in the middle. They
right.
can make any crowd laugh. The host should be
They're
the
great
funniest
already.
person. Yeah. The
Yeah,
host should be the funniest person because they gotta they like as in skill wise, not necessarily the funniest person. They're not the headliner, but like
right.
they know how
The
to make
most
any type of
experience.
crowd laugh. The
Yeah,
most yeah. And so like they're like okay, they like clean. Okay, they like the raunchy stuff. I got a set for you have to have like 3 to 5 sets prepared because
mhm.
you might have one set prepared that night. Come in, realize the crowd is different. Like oh, this is a clean crowd. Shit, I gotta change. Like this what this all these bitches and hoes. I gotta go. I gotta
Yeah,
do this crowd.
yeah.
I was talking to John yesterday about his lawn. You know, like,
Yeah,
get
you
that going. You gotta just bam, make that
especially
sharp turn.
nowadays, it seemed like you could if you're in a real like you said, like liberal crowd or feminist or something, if you say a bitch or if you say something, you're like, whoa,
Yeah,
that was not good. Let me switch it up and say something else and bring it back home. Like
yeah,
you got to really be able to figure it out. But what I want to get from you, because you are a young genius, you are the smartphone before the smartphone. And I would advise people to go back to the previous podcast because you just have a knack for figuring it out as far as like finance and financial things and just
yeah,
different like hacks on life. So if you could give
yeah.
like with the pandemic and everything and shortages and everything, what's maybe a few things you could tell people that they can do or look up and look into to make some money while building on their dream? Because I know you had drop shipping before,
Yeah,
different
yeah.
things. And like I said, go
That's
back and
man,
listen to that podcast
that's still
because
working.
he explains that. But what's a couple things that I think you can see that can help somebody listening to try to figure out to make a couple dollars for themselves?
I mean, well, the drop shipping's still working. Especially if you got you invest in like baby stuff because everybody at home because of the pandemic, everybody popping out babies. So drop shipping baby stuff is big right now. I'd say right now the place to play around with a little bit of money if you can is in crypto and in NFTs. So to have a Coinbase account. I got out of crypto because back when I got into it, I lost 80 grand. It was I invested 1,000, but it shot up, and then I couldn't pull it out. I was trying so hard to pull it out, but it could not get it out. Now it's a lot better, a lot more secure. You can pull your money out a lot quicker. But right now, NFTs are going to take over the world. I mean, I was already aware of this a couple of years ago, but I was late to actually put money into it. So right now, just find a course on NFTs on how to invest in it, and then just put a little bit of money. Like, don't put your life savings in there, but if you got $100, $200, go buy a couple of things that are in high demand, and then flip them. So that's where the NFT place is flipping. Like a little kid, literally jokingly posted NFT selfies of himself, and he made $3 million off of it. Because
How do you go
Uh,
about getting an NFT or purchasing one?
Um, just Google it. It's everywhere right now. I use Coinbase to store it, but
I'm getting
basically
man.
a quick explanation of how an NFT works is, as the original creator, you get paid every single time it's sold.
I
It's
heard.
like a royalty. So it doesn't matter who buys it, who sells it, you get a portion of that.
You're the record label for to dumb it down for people.
Yeah, so you're the record label. And so what you want to do is create an original piece of content that people are going to be interested in purchasing. And then whoever buys it, say they buy it for 20 bucks, and then they sell it to somebody else for 30 bucks. You got that first 20 bucks, and then you got a percentage of that 30 bucks. If that person sells it for $1,000, you get a percentage of that $1,000. And so you can see if this thing goes viral, like that kid's selfie did, you start getting all these residual payments, and bam, he's sitting on $3 million at 19 years old.
So Coinbase is a great way for entry for
To
people. It's an
to
app.
store, yeah. So if you just Google, like, NFTs, I would recommend taking a course, just because people are buying like stupid things that sometimes they look up. But I would look at a course, see, okay, these are the five best places to purchase NFTs from. These are the best NFT wallet. This is the best cryptocurrency wallet to use. And then, okay, I bought it from here, I store it here, and then if I choose to sell it, this is where I'm going to get my money, and then I'm connected to my bank account. I can pull it out from here. So it's very, very complicated, but there are people that are smarter than I am that can make it a lot simpler.
Google and YouTube is your friend. Always.
Yeah,
Earn Your Leisure is a great podcast and a great YouTube community that
yeah.
tells you a lot. And I'm sure they got one on NFTs. Earn Your Leisure is
Uh,
amazing, man. They're great
yeah.
dudes.
Yeah, I spent thousands of dollars on courses, and like, you don't need thousands of dollars. That's just because I bought so many courses. I bought $20 courses, $25 courses. I've always made my money back. Like, I bought a course from this young black girl. I think she's probably a millionaire now. Like, she took all her money and reinvested into like real estate. She still does her same main business, but she was selling a course 25 bucks on how to flip pallets. And I'm like, oh, I'll check it out. Paid 25 bucks. I made $600 like within the first 2 weeks off of that course.
Man, you know what? And I think schools are starting to get a little bit scared because, like, with us being in the smartphone era for about like 10 to 12 years now, everybody's smarting up, and like school is like, fuck that. I'll take a couple courses. This dude is giving one for $100. This, that, it'll be way cheaper. I'll take a course on photography. I'll take a course on dog grooming. I'll take a course. I'll look at YouTube, but then the course helps me to actually speak to somebody and have a community of other people. So I'm telling people, man, it feels like a lot of people feel like I'm not giving no fucking stranger who's Alton. I'm not giving him $30 to go to some bullshit course of his. But that $30 could change your life. But it's the misinformation of like school. You got to do it the school route that'll have your ass in debt forever, and you might not be in the field that you really want to do. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I charged like anywhere between 30 bucks and 50 bucks for my last in-person event, and I had filled up the room,
And
and
it's
everybody
a way of
walked away
money
with,
for somebody else too.
yeah, everybody. I made money out of that, and I got clients out of that, and then everybody there, like, one of the guys there, I think he made $8,000 the next day just off of the knowledge that I gave him in the room. And it's like, when people think they look at these things as like scams. I did too when I was younger. I looked at all these like
We
these,
are trained to look at it. School is the route, and Alton is full of shit. Why would you pay
yeah,
$100 for Alton course? Well, Alton saved your life, but the school fucking is the misinformation that like you got to go this
bro,
route. But
bro.
Alton, in 1 hour or one weekend, I learned more information than I learned in semesters of school.
Yeah. And like I remember, there was a conference that we went to. I didn't have to pay for it, but the conference was like 5 grand. We went to the conference, millionaires on stage giving you like real tangible advice, not like speaking from the clouds, like, oh, this is this. It's like, no, this is what you have to do. This is how I did it. They're giving you step by step because you paid for it. Like,
Right.
when you pay someone, they'll give you step by step. They'll give you the blueprint of exactly what they did because they want to see you succeed. And the reason why they're making you pay for it instead of giving it to you for free, because people don't take free serious. Like, I did free stuff and free events, nobody showed up.
I learned that shit, and it was the craziest shit in the world. Even in my
It's
photography
mind
journey,
blowing.
Even in my photography journey, it's like, bro, if I tell you I charge this much, you like, oh man, like that's kind of low. Like it's like if you charge lower, they don't take you as serious. But if you
Mhm.
charge high, they take you as serious. And then one time, man, I had to learn the lesson of like barber. I was like, hey, I want to do something for the community. I want to do like a video game thing and it's free and it's people can go and it'll be great. And he was like, young man, I love where your heart is at, but I'm gonna tell you something. If something's free, people won't go. But if you made them pay $20 to get in, they not gonna want to like blow that $20. They gonna bring their ass to the course or they gonna bring
Yeah.
their ass to the video games. And I was like, I didn't want to believe it at the time, but as time went on, I realized he was right. People will
Yeah.
go when you got it's so dumb that like I want to give you free game. Fuck that. That shit a scam. I'm sleep. It's at 11. I'm not going. But when you charge them, it's like, oh nah, because he charging this shit got to be real, or his photos cost this much, so nah, them shit's gonna be crazy. It's like, dog, I'm not doing nothing different than somebody that charges way less than me. But
Yeah.
it's just crazy, and for people like for me with podcasting and different things, once I get good at it, I could start having courses where I teach it for a certain amount and that creates income. So anybody, whatever you're doing, when you become great at it, you can start making money. Like that is a new wave in the pandemic as well, is teaching workshops of
Yeah.
different things. Like even the was really exploded is the at home workout sessions.
Yeah.
Dudes is in their fucking house selling $10 courses to 1,000 people for this 1 hour and getting guapped off, like getting so much bread off of being in his living room with his phone, with his iPhone that he's gonna pay for it anyway.
Yeah.
It's like the more simple shit is, the more people don't believe it. It's the wildest shit in the world. They don't believe you.
Yeah.
Simple.
It's mind blowing. I had a I'll leave her name out of it, but I had this young woman that I brought on as a free client because she couldn't afford my services. And so I was like, cool, I normally charge 5,000 a month, but I like you, you're a friend of a friend. So I'll teach you because I want to see you succeed. And I was giving her all this game, all this structure, and she would use some of it and then she would like push back on a lot of it. I'm like, yo, this is what you have to do. And then she was like, "Oh, okay, whatever." Then she like disappeared for a little bit, and then she came back and she's like, "Oh, I paid a coach $10,000 and to help me with my course and to help me with all my stuff." The guy was telling her the same stuff I did. He just charged her $10,000 for it,
That's just like,
and
man,
I'm
it's
like,
it's crazy. Like shout out to DJ Envy because he flips houses and he has courses and he sells it for way cheaper. Because real estate is the oldest money making thing in the world, but he
yeah,
was giving these courses in the hoods and really wanted the people to like get the information because he said these different white companies and stuff like that, they charge a gazillion fucking dollars and they not, and DJ Envy brings the people to the courses that can help you in your city and everything like that, but sells it for way cheaper. But you rather pay for the $1,000. It's like we have to unlearn that if it costs more, it's better bullshit. We gotta stop that shit, man. Like
it'll be to the end of time, bro. I looked at an Aston Martin, like, I mean, and I'm looking at the interior of this car, and I'm like, yo, this is trash. How much is this? $220,000. I'm not paying for this. Like,
you know what? And even I think Shaq or somebody, they said the same people that make a Shaq shoe makes a high end shoe. The
yeah,
Walmart shoe is the same fucking people. They just market, and marketing is everything because
it's everything.
I can sell you bullshit. And
Like
if I
some,
market it well, if Jay-Z says Reggie sells this and it's cool, everybody gets it.
yeah, like all these private shoe companies are doing that now. And like when you were saying on that, like there are things that are truly worth their value. Like I've been in a Bentley, I've been in a Rolls Royce. Like it's worth what you're paying for it. But then there's other luxury cars that are like, yo, what is this? Like unless you're driving like a Mercedes AMG or an M series BMW, like you're not really getting what you're paying for. You're getting
It's
like
it's the
oh
marketing of
yeah,
this mom, man. You gotta get even the thing that kills me. We could talk all day, but I'm about
oh
to
yeah,
rap, man. But the
right,
thing that kills me the most is these fucking rappers with jewelry. You don't
oh
know the truth. This jeweler sees your young black dumbass and said, "Yo, you're 19, you're 17. This this pen is when I dip it in this gold or platinum or whatever and these diamonds, this is the best shit ever." Then they just got 20,000 on my net, 30,000, 30, 50,000. If okay, what quality is it? Where did it come from? What country? How long did
Yeah,
they? I don't know. But you're
yeah,
sold on that shit because it been marketed your whole life that jewelry and everything is, but you don't know.
yeah. You gotta. If I mean, that's the thing. Is as long as you know, like you gotta, like there are like things that are appreciate, like watches appreciate in value. Like you can get
Rolex,
a
and
Rolex and Audemars. Like you there's jewelry like diamond necklaces that appreciate because we have a limited resource. Diamonds are a limited resource. You can make synthetic diamonds, but it's not the same as the original.
right.
But you gotta know where you're getting it from. Is this a where this diamonds from? You have it's a seal of authenticity
Yeah.
because you don't want to walk around with something and find out it's fugazi. Like you
But
see,
the
he
kids
spent
don't know.
300 racks on it.
You see rappers all the time now, like where like people will be like, "Yo, that's fake." Like Lil Baby, I think had a situation, and then I think Ace Hood one time his Rolex, his watch broke down literally on the red carpet, and it's just like, man, I just want these young brothers to smarten up, but they're gonna continue to do it. Do whatever you want and make the mistakes and shit. But it's just jewelry is the one thing that sticks out to me. That's like
I don't buy it.
you don't know shit
I don't
about
wear it.
this, bro. Bro, my ring
Yeah,
costs like $60. It's faded as hell. It's from like
yeah,
JC Penney, bro. Like it's nothing too
yeah.
crazy because it's just like it's the meaning behind it. It's not the actual thing.
Yeah, like I like earth tones. Like I would get a black tungsten ring if I ever get married.
Yeah, I think it's
Um,
tungsten. Yeah.
yeah, but like everything else is like earth tone. Like all my jewelry, like black and brown, and it's like beads and it's like stuff that's made from like the earth. Like
I love
I
bees.
don't.
I love bees. My nephew, he popped my bees, man. My little
Yeah,
10-month old nephew, he ripped my shit. Like, fuck this, give me this shit. And he popped it, and I had it for years. I was so sad. But
yeah,
yeah, I just let him do it, man. But man, we could talk forever. We definitely
yeah,
gotta
man.
keep up more because man, we had a deep conversation that we gotta check up on each other more, man. All people, but definitely in the black community, we gotta do that more. But before we get out of here, I like to do speak into existence. I've been narrowing it down because I've been at podcasting now for a minute. So within this time next year, speaking to existence, what will happen in your journey in comedy and in life?
Man, speaking it into existence, 1 year from today in comedy, I'm gonna be able to have a tour, like on either on someone else's tour or my own tour. And in life, hopefully, I'm back to being self-employed, no longer working for someone else. I actually do like my job and like where I work, but like at the end of the day, like I know me. I'm gonna eventually be back out on my own and just being able to take that comedy and turn that into speaking engagements and just where I'm working for myself and just booking myself or hiring an agent, having them do it for me.
And
So
this is
yeah,
recorded.